Welcome, my friends, to the many-colored land. Welcome. Welcome, motherfuckers. I believe today would be day 34. Now, before we even jump into this and discuss, I must say that we have gotten to the point within the story. It requires me to slow the pace a little bit because we're getting to the climactic point in the story, and the stream of consciousness led me here. So I talked about it before. Generally how I write is a stream of consciousness until I hit a wall or I get out of it. Now, the stream of consciousness with every character has led me to this point. And it took me a little bit to kind of think, okay, what the fuck am I going to do with them all? I don't even know what's happening. I sat down and I worked at it. It took me some time, you know. I was working on reports. I was asking myself questions like how and whys. How did we get here? Why did we get here? What can we do with this scene? How can we make it the best that we can make it? And as I was looking through the notes and just kind of seeing the words that I'm coming up with, the scene started to open itself for me. So what I ended up doing was just going back to the computer and typing up this scene, kind of mocking it up, if you will, and showing myself, this is what we're gonna do here to get us through this. This is how we're going to approach the scene, this is what's gonna happen during it, and this is what each character will come out of it with. I think, to me, it's like this is the major climax moment. It's a big build-up, and I asked myself, I was like, is this the end build-up? Is this the build-up for the end of the book? Because I don't know if I feel like it should be. I don't know. It just doesn't seem right. It is a pretty big build-up, and it's pretty crazy. I don't know if it's the one. And the more I think about it, the more I'm like, I don't think it is. I think this is just like the last 2/3 kind of act, and the characters all kind of have this big moment, and it's kind of crazy, and all this shit happens. But I don't think that ends the book by any stretch of the imagination. But I don't know yet. We're still in the beginning phases of it. I still have to type all this up, and which brings me to the thing that I wanted to discuss today, and that is, man, it is so hard to do this sometimes. And it's so difficult when I had that fucking fight in me that doesn't want to do this. And I actually got reminded that it's not just writing. So I talk about with writing where when I'm jotting and I'm typing stuff up and there's a voice in the back of my head that doesn't want to do this. It's trying to get me to stop. It doesn't want me to go in. It just wants to, come on, let's not do this. Let's not do this, man. Let's get out of here. And it never leaves me alone, and it pesters me. Well, I just discovered it's not only in writing. I tried picking up a new video game, one that was recommended to me, and the whole time I'm playing it, I just like, come on, we gotta stop. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. We gotta get out of here. We can't do this. We can't do this. And I'm just like, what the fuck? Like, what is this thing that does not want me? What part of me, I should say, does not want me to fucking do this? It's like, I want to do this. Why is there a fucking deep down part that's like, I don't want to work, you know? It could be happening when I'm reading, because I want to read, and then every time I'm trying to read, it's like, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. Come on, we don't want to do this anymore. It could be when I'm trying to, you know, play music or do music. It's anything creative. It's anything that challenges my mind. It's like it wants to just be a nothing and sit and just exist. And it's so fucking annoying. I'm like, you can't just sit and exist. Like, you have to fucking use it, dude. Like, what is your problem? Get over this. But it's incredibly difficult. And aside from that, I can generally battle through it. There's days where I succumb to it and I'm just like, whatever, fine, let's go be a loser somewhere. But there's other days where I can kind of go through that, and I find that in the writing, as soon as the writing gets to be a story, so like all the stuff before feels like I'm kind of channeling my thoughts. I'm kind of channeling who I was as a person, who I was as a kid, how I felt about stuff. I feel like that's easy. I'm journaling. But the minute I'm like, okay, it's a story, so we have to have this climactic scene. Let's talk about, like, let's block the scene up a bit and let's see what we can come up with. It seems like, I don't want this. I don't want to do that now. You know what I mean? Like, it's so weird that my mind works this way. I fucking hate it. And I think about people in the world that love playing video games, love reading, that people that love to write, and I'm just, how the fuck do you love to do this? All this shit. It's misery, I think. It makes me feel so miserable. And there's a part of me that's like, well, if you feel miserable for doing this, then maybe you shouldn't be doing it. And I think about that often. I'm like, yep, I guess I shouldn't read or enjoy video games or enjoy writing. I guess I should just do nothing, is what basically he wants to do, this part of me. I don't want to do any of that. I want to be nothing. I want to just sit quietly in a dark room until we die. Like, it's so fucking annoying. You know what I mean? I wish I could kick his ass, honestly. But it's just tough. It really is. I don't know how people do this all the time. I haven't felt the joy in writing since I was young. So before the year 2015, that's when it started to go downhill for me. But before that, I actually enjoyed doing this. And I still think about that. Like, how can I get back to enjoying this again? I don't know. It feels like the older I get, the less I want to do. Until eventually I just succumb to it. It's just kind of what it feels like. I hate that. I really do. I really fucking hate it. And I don't know if it's like, I don't know if it's something I can eventually get through, or if it's something that's just taking me slowly. I don't know. I have no clue how that shit works. But as I work on the book more, as I put more of myself in it, because you kind of have to, I think that might be what leads me to feel this way. It might be because I always joke around and I just say, like, oh, I'm just a lazy person. That's what it is. I'm just lazy. I don't like to work. But I'm like, there's got to be something more to it, something deeper, something far fouler that like lurks in the darkness of my mind, kind of thing. Stuff that, when you go into those states and you feel like, I was describing it as like almost another entity is trying to tell you all these made up things, like, oh, you should think that this is going on. You should think these people are betraying you. You should think this. You should think that. And it's like, well, they're not. Well, do they really love you, though? And I'm like, I'm pretty sure they do. And then the voice in my head is like, well, and it makes up some excuse. And then I'm like, whoa, shit, no way. It always feels like I'm talking with this entity that's just trying to stir some dark shit in me all the time. And I just like generally go like, whatever, like I'll have my tough times, maybe a few hours where I'll just be like kind of melancholy from it. But generally I'm always just like, dude, whatever, all right? And I just try to work through it. I just try to get through whatever I'm doing. And the book feels like that. It feels like I'm trying to do something here, and there's this stupid fucking loser that's just like in there going like, I don't want to do it because it's tough, or it just doesn't want me to explore it, or I don't know. And I understand the way I describe it. It feels like it's me. Pretty sure. I mean, I don't know. It's not necessarily a voice. It's more like I don't know how to explain it. You know how in your head, when you're thinking and you hear yourself kind of speaking in a sense, but maybe not fully out loud? It's just kind of, I don't know how to explain it. It's like that. I know it's me, but I'm not sitting there like, wait a minute. What is the cadence of his voice? Who is this? Like, pretty confident it's me speaking to myself in my head. It's just, it feels like another part of me that doesn't necessarily want to be alive. And a part of me that doesn't see the merit in anything in the living world. It's that part of you that if you give a little bit too much power, it'll be like, we could kill ourselves and we'll be over. You know what I mean? It's like this really sorrowful part that just does not see any fucking merit in continuing to live every day. And it's probably the strongest sensation that I have in me. You know, it's this, the whole, like, what's the point of any of this? What's the fucking point of any of this? And it's like it's one of the biggest things to fight. So I kind of use that as representation in the book and say the spirits, because that's the only word I can think of right now. You know, I don't want to get too crazy and call them the Nordovians, and you're like, what's that? So I just call them the spirits, and I say that it's like how they act upon you, and how there's a bunch of different ones, and they may enter you, or they may be dormant in you, or they may be your viewpoint for a long period of time, because all the time you're changing. You're always a different person every day. Sometimes a certain spirit's higher than another spirit. Sometimes the thing that looks out into the world isn't necessarily you, but you're behind it, and it's actually some spirit, and that's why you may look at the world negatively, or you may look at the world with this glowing aura and say, like, it's a great place, you know, or you might be saddened by everything. It's just certain parts of you, spirits equal emotions, that are kind of acting out the world around you. And so inside of you is writhing many, many emotions. And each emotion is that very thing that somehow comes from another, in a sense, I guess. And that's just how it feels for me. And so in the book, it's like these things that I kind of battle with. Just wanting to be alive, generally. How can I translate that into the story here? How can I say it in such a different way that maybe it'll trigger something in someone else, and they'll be like, oh yeah, I feel the same way. As I talked to you about this before, it's like, well, I didn't ever want to be preachy about things. I didn't ever want to like tell you like, and this is what this is and that's what that is. I always tried to say, this is just this person and his experience. And I'm going to allow you to go in his head and you can hear the fucking stuff that he's thinking about and struggling with. Do with that what you will. It hasn't necessarily been easy, because obviously who's the person I'm drawing the most inspiration from? Myself. And so the more I do this, the more I realize it's kind of like this self-explanatory thing where I'm exploring the world through my own eyes. And I was talking to my wife about it last night, like why I'm doing all this. And we were speculating on stuff, because I was like, I still kind of don't necessarily know what this is. And it's like, this character of mine is spun into a world of disorder where everyone's looking at him wanting to do something. Everyone's looking at him saying, I want you to be this, or I want you to be that, or you are this, you are that. And I said, well, the inspiration behind that was how I always felt growing up, and as an adult. I always feel like everyone's looking at me in a certain way and wants me to be this thing for them. And it's always something, it's not necessarily, but it feels more like a savior thing. You get it, you understand, you can help us. Or you're the one that can figure this out. You're the one this, you. And I always felt this like immense pressure. Because behind that, you should be, is in my head, and I'm thinking, I don't even know what I am. I don't know who the fuck I am and why I'm here right now. Like this, is this what I'm here for? Am I here to just serve people? Is that the only pleasure I could find in this world, is serving? Is there something to be said about me searching for myself and trying to see what the fuck I'm supposed to do? And so my story and Eris' story are the same thing. It's just I put him in fantasy world so you can kind of enjoy it more. If you want to see it in real life, that's what the videos are for. So there's that. And it's like, I put him in this world of chaos and feeling the same way as me, but I'm actually in control of this. This was something my wife really brought to my attention. I'm the one that's in control of this character, so there's some sense of me feeling that control and feeling that like I can do whatever I want with this person, and I'm guiding him in a sense into what even I think he might be, but at the same time what I don't know what he should be. And the fact that I go into the unknowingness, it seems to be a pleasure to float adrift, because it's all I've ever known. I've had ambitions in my life. I've had things I wanted to do. I have goals. But I generally feel like I'm floating in the abyss. There's so much I don't know. There's so much unknown. Who am I? Where am I going? Why do I want to get there? What is there? Those are the questions that I still don't even have answers for. I don't know what I'm doing any of this for. Generally, the only goal that I have is I want to finish these damn books. Outside of that, I have no other goals, so I'm just floating adrift, enveloped by these books, because for me, writing these stories, secluding myself away, makes me feel the most comfortable in a sense, because I just don't want to be around people all the time. Because I'm tired of it. You know, I'm tired of feeling like everyone wants something from me. And I've had a hard time associating with a normal sense of wanting, like just your company, to how I felt with my traumatic incidences, where it's like, you want something from me because you want me to do something. What does he want me to do? So I have a really hard time discerning that, so I end up just going away and just not talking to anybody, friends, family, or anything. I just kind of hide away in this room. It doesn't really feel like hiding, but it's, in a sense, it is. And speaking to people I don't even know, which feels no different than when I'm speaking to myself, because it feels like I'm speaking to a room of people I don't know either. It doesn't feel any different. It's really instant. It's like when I would be alone and I'd have thoughts, you know, I'd start talking out loud or whatever. I always felt like there was a room full of people just kind of watching me as I'm saying all these things. So I would kind of behave a certain way, and I always felt like I was being watched under an eye of a group of people. So I always like watched how I said, don't be too weird, don't be this, don't be that. And I always try to cater the way I am because I thought I was being watched. And now I have a fucking camera where in theory people are watching me again, and I still feel that way. I'm gonna watch what you say, gotta be a little bit normal, you know, don't do this, don't do that, don't just start dancing like you do, or singing and being weird, chill out. So I kind of feel like I'm restricting myself, and I've always felt that way. I've always felt like I had to restrict who I was. Don't necessarily be who you are. And we don't even know who that person is, because you never really allow yourself to go there. I'm even too nervous to sing well by myself. You know what I mean? In a car, I'm still like, I don't know if I should sing because I'm going to be listened to. You know, it's just like this weird thing that I kind of struggle with. And I don't know how to feel about it, but saying all that, it's just like floating adrift in the world and not knowing who you are. It's like, well, I never really let myself explore who I was and what I really wanted to do. And if I do, I better do it shamefully behind closed doors. It's just kind of what I've allowed myself to feel. Because like as a child, like, there was just small moments, man, like of every time I tried to, you know, be a little bit too much myself, I kind of was made to feel bad about it. I was annoying, or I was this, I was that. And it sticks with you more than you really realize. And so because of that fact, I just got sick and tired and just like said, fine, I'll be what you need me to be. Because apparently everyone knows best for me. And the biggest thing that I still have problems with now is whenever someone tells me something, their opinion about whatever it happens to be, you know, I'll just take it as gospel. I'm like, well, yeah, of course, they're 100% right, and I'm wrong, and why would they lie? It's just the instant thing I want to do. It's like if me and you were talking about God, and I'm just like, yeah, you know, I have some theories, and then all of a sudden you say your theories, I'm going to be like, well, I'm wrong, clearly, and you're right. So for me, it's a case of adopting everyone's things and putting into this room, and like, who am I within that room? There's a whole world of thought out there, and then I'm swimming, you know, I'm afloat within it all. No self, no ego. And it's like, what do I do about that? They always talk about ego death, right? All the mystics and shit. Ego death, it's good. And I examine my life and I'm like, dude, like that's all I ever fucking try to be is ego death. Like I just like, the minute a conversation comes up, I eliminate my thoughts and I listen. and I gain, and I just be. I try not to be like, well, no, you're wrong, because I don't fucking know. As soon as something comes up, I'm like, well, I don't know. Maybe you're right. And it feels like a thing that I'm constantly living, and I don't feel good all the time. They always make it seem like it's a good thing to have, ego death. And I'm like, it doesn't. In reality, it makes you feel like you're fucking retarded because you claim to know nothing. There is no knowledge that you can obtain, and you don't have whatever it is. And there's some sense of the world around you has the answers, has the clues, and you're adrift within it. But you have to eliminate that self part so that you can be at one with it. And yes, it does feel that way a lot of the times. But there's no comfort in that. It doesn't feel good. That's just something that drugs use. Like, that's their idea of what they think it is. I'm like, you don't even really understand what you're talking about. But I'm not going to claim either. So I'm not going to bring that up. It just feels lonely. It feels like an island. Whenever I feel the expression called ego death, it always feels like I'm just sitting there alone on a fucking island in the middle of this black ocean. And before me is this great abyss of fog. And I don't even know what's anything. And I'm just sitting there like, okay. And every once in a while, beings would come up from this abyss. People upon boats would come in, and then they would just say things. And I would just think, okay, well, maybe they're right. They wouldn't just come out of here out of nowhere and tell me this shit. So what do I do with this information now? How can I attach it to this person's thing and that person and this one's? That's kind of what it feels like. You know, that's a metaphor. I don't think that way necessarily, but that's the best metaphor I can give how it might feel. It's just, that's what it is for me. And it's just like, I don't even know how to handle the situation. It can be quite difficult to say, like, what am I, who am I, and why am I? Because of there's this point in my life that I have a really hard time if I were to sit down and say, who the fuck are you? I don't know. Half the time, I don't know. I'm whatever you need me to be in that moment. I'm whatever the wind will say. I'm just, I don't know. I don't plan my life out. I live it day by day and like just whimsically, like, I'm going here now, you know, and I just go and do things. So it's like, I don't know. You know, what kind of knowledge do I have in my head? Not much. Because it comes and goes. I'll think of a new fun thing, I'm like, oh wow, that's cool. And then it just goes, and goes away, and I'm like, well, I don't remember. I learned what egotism is, but I've forgotten now, so. Yeah, I think the best way to explain all of this is adrift. I feel just adrift, alone. And then we go all the way back, and I say, mirroring Eris's story and feeling this sense of weightlessness and this sense of I don't know what's going on, and now we're at this scene, this giant scene that's going to happen, this climactic scene, and I plotted the fucker out. And I wrote up multiple documents. I asked myself multiple questions. Like, all these fucking papers. This is just recently. Like, all this shit. Just recently. All these fucking papers. I'm like, what is it? What can it be? Who's this? Who's that? What about this character? And I have 2 more on the computer. 20 fucking plus pages. And the fact that because I'm kind of in the know now, and I know what's going to happen, and I'm about to write it, my head's like, I don't want to do it now. I don't want to. Because you already know, so what's the point of doing? And then it's like, damn it, you can't do this. We have to finish the fucking book. We can't like write up to a certain point and like, and then we'll leave all the notes at the end of the book, and the reader can come up with what they think happened. You know, like, come on. It's a struggle. It really is. One that eventually we'll get through. I know, but still. Come on, dude. The will to want, the will to do is probably the most difficult damn thing I've ever dealt with. Most difficult damn thing. Just to do this every damn day. Jeez, like, it just makes you think, man, like, what is this? What is this shit? Why are we doing this every day? What the fuck is this? I was talking to my wife last night, and I said, I want to ask you something. I was like, do you think I'm wasting my life on this? Honestly, it's okay if you think so. I'm just curious. Like, do you think I'm wasting my fucking life? I've been at this since 2012, of August of 2012, and it's now the year 2024. Do you think I'm wasting my time? Do you think I've just, you know, I don't know. And she's like, first of all, she's like, no. It's like, what else would have you been doing? And I was like, honestly, probably like everyone else, I'd take my job too seriously. I'd only care about the Red Wings, and I would be just a regular guy. I would probably hate myself even more. And then she kind of asked, like, what, it seems like out of this, you're trying to find something. You're trying to find yourself. You're trying to find the character that you kind of, like your avatar in a way of like, that's who you are. You're looking for something. Like, how is that a waste of time? And I was like, you're right, as usual, right? So I was like, okay, made me feel a little bit better. And I've been after this for so long, and I thought, like, well, what am I even doing this for? You know, it's enveloped me fully. And then my next question was like, can you imagine me without the book? Can you imagine me not have doing this at all? Like, what kind of person I would be? And she couldn't even imagine that, because since she's known me, I've met her back in 2016 or 15, I think that was 16, maybe, or 17, I don't know. And she's like, no, I've never known you not be working on this book. And I was like, damn, you have no idea who the guy was before this, because he was not this person. This is not who I was. And it made me feel okay, like, it's helping me, and it's hard, and it's difficult, and I don't like doing it all the time, but I feel like I'm looking for myself. I'm trying to find that fucking person, and hopefully he'll come find me too.